between Brentford and Chelsea. And history looking to repeat itself later, maybe. Janine Anthony is in West London, and it could be 2 League Cup semi-finals in a row for Brentford, couldn't it?
Yes, and you know what? I'm here thinking, because like Premier League fans are one of the creative you can find, and you just think that if they do get to that semis, they'll just remix the 12 days of Christmas, make it 2 total draws instead and make 2 semis, because obviously they're looking for history today, and if that happens, it'll be a big deal for them. Tottenham, of course, defeating them last season, but it could all change, and the manager said that they're looking for that Christmas gift. And speaking of gifts, I'm gifted with the presence of David Lane, who is the co-editor of Beesotted, of course, Brentford-based podcast. And David, fans were obviously gutted last season and when they couldn't be at the stadium to celebrate that historic semi-final. And was it a big deal considering they weren't in the stadium at the time?
Yeah, it was a very strange time for all of us, and we're just hoping it doesn't go back that way again. But yeah, to get to the semi-finals last year and to make history, to have beaten Newcastle United here and then to have played Tottenham in the semi would have been incredible to have been at. But you're right, we have to make our own history again tonight. We can go tonight, we will go tonight. We're going to make a lot of noise and we're going to roar this team on to an incredible victory, I hope. Yeah,
I'm really feeling the atmosphere, even just being here. And because you've got to make that history, it's Chelsea, and that you have to play. If there is a win tonight, will that be the biggest achievement for Brentford this season?
So far, probably, yeah. I mean, we don't know which Chelsea are going to turn up in terms of team. We know the Chelsea badge is going to turn up because, you know, that we're playing them, but they've got COVID issues. We're not quite sure whether it's going to be kids or whether it's going to be their full 11 that played against Wolves at the weekend. We'll see what happens, but we know that we have to go and play a Chelsea team toe-to-toe, and we're going to go for the win.
Yeah, and this time last week, 7 players and staff were out with COVID. In the last 10 days, 14. That's a huge number. And that, enforced the break, stopping that run of momentum, having that big win against Watford. Do you think it was a good thing that break was enforced? And do you think it's probably ruining that momentum for Brentford?
I don't think it's going to ruin the momentum. I think it's actually going to kind of help us a little bit because we had 2 big players out. Ivan Toney and Pinnock weren't available. They should be available tonight. So I think the rest will have done the squad some good. It's just whether the COVID effects have impacted anyone, whether there's been a bad effect to have caught the illness. We'll see tonight.
Yeah, everything around here is getting ready for the game tonight. But they say when it rains, it pours. Not just COVID, but injuries, including to your goalkeeper as well, who's been inspired from out in October. And then you're in the top half of that team, being very solidly defensive in the league. How have you managed to cope with that? Are you surprised that the team has managed to hold forth up until now?
A bit of me is really surprised, yeah. I mean, a bit of me is massively relieved because, we know that what we're capable of when we're at full strength. We beat Arsenal on that first day. You take out a lot of those better players like Aya, players like Raya, you kind of think, oh, we could get really turned over here. But it's only probably been 1 game all season where we've not really done ourselves justice. We've lost other games, but, we've been in them. So, yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised how we've coped, and I'm hoping that the good news is that we'll be back to near enough full strength tonight and we can, as I said, go out there and do ourselves justice.
Yeah, I was going to play with the word Justice League, but to be able to create that justice tonight, what do you think against Chelsea tonight that Brentford could be lining up? Do you think that high intensity against Chelsea, where they were so good in the last 30 seconds, 30 minutes rather, can be replicated tonight?
Well, we know what happens when we put Chelsea under that kind of pressure. Whether we can keep that up for 90 minutes is that we do it all over again. And, Thomas Frank and the players will be absolutely potty for this tonight.
Yeah, well, all the best with your game tonight. It is, of course, Brentford and Chelsea. Probably Christmas miracle is back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, it certainly set up very nicely there. Thank you, Janine. And even got a steam train in the background there at Brentford, which doesn't happen very often, does it?
I think that's the first time a steam train has ever featured in a football report. Nice. But we will take it. Right,
There's been a lot of hot air on this show, but not much steam.
Right, we are going to continue our chat here. Let's bring in Niels Christian Fred.